Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. This video does not have a spokesperson for it. They don't even have a slide of information or anything like that on there. It's just raw body cam footage. This is an incident that occurred in April of 2022, but the body cam footage did not come out until December. So because there's no information with this video, I'm going to have to read to you some information from a news article that's coming from firstcoastnews.com by Tristan Hardy, published December 9, 2022. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office published body camera video of an officer-involved shooting Friday afternoon. First Coast News reported in April an officer shot and killed 43-year-old Kevin Mahan. JSO was initially called to the 7200 block of Morse Avenue on the city's west side for a person described as mentally ill. The video shows the moments before the officer shot Mahan, the actual shooting, and the aftermath. "Put the hatchet down," the officer can be heard in the video yelling commands at Mahan. "Listen, man, don't put the axe down," the officer shouted. The officer can be heard telling Mahan to put the axe down 4 times. Mahan can be heard saying, "Man, listen, bro," and then the officer shoots him in the head. Then Chief T.K. Waters said that Mahan stood up and raised the axe. The policeman fired 1 shot and killed Mahan at the scene. Former JSO police detective Kim Varner reviewed the video and told First Coast News the officer was quick to shoot Mahan. I'll speak just for me. I can't speak for that officer and why he did that. Or what he did, Varner said, who has nearly 30 years being with JSO. "If it was me, I would have held him at bay until I had some backup arrive." You know, just because somebody has 30 years with an agency doesn't mean they really fucking know shit about defensive tactics or anything like that. There are some people who they get hired and then they survive and coast through long enough to reach retirement. I'll shit you not, there are a lot of cops out there that, one, should never be cops. But then 2, they just made it long enough to retirement. Now, I don't know anything about this Kim Varner person or anything like that. I'm just throwing that out there. Just because a person has fucking 30 years with an agency, it don't mean shit. Especially if 30 years is a long time. So, what's that tell me? The person, could have had rank or detective, which this article says detective. So, when she became a detective, I don't know. But being a detective or attaining rank puts you in a different workflow, puts you kind of in a different bracket, so to speak. And so you're able to survive, so to speak, a lot longer than if the person has stayed in patrol. There are some agencies that, because once a person gets hired, they go through the training, they survive long enough to reach, the end of their probationary period. It can be hard to terminate officers. You have to do a lot to get the justification to terminate them. You got to build a paper trail of stuff on them. So there's some officers who make it, and then, they do good for a little bit, and then they kind of slack off and they become lazy sacks of shit, or they're just not, they're not on it, right? Like they're not fucking switched on good enough to be on patrol. So sometimes there are people who get transferred into positions where they're not a risk to anyone else or themselves. And sadly, sometimes it's almost like the bad ones are getting promoted. Now, it's not like this everywhere, but there's some places that are like that. So you'll have some people who, like, they fucking suck as a patrol officer, and they're not really good at anything. And so, boom, there's an opening for public information officer. I will just push this guy into this public information officer role. He's kind of a Barney. No one trusts him on the road anyway. Can't really fire him because, he doesn't do anything to fucking get in trouble. He doesn't press issues on anything, so he can't fucking do anything. Can't get the quote-unquote evidence to terminate his ass. So we'll just throw him in public information office, and he can't fucking hurt anybody there, or he can't get anybody hurt in public information office. So that kind of shit happens. Sadly, sometimes this happens with school resource officer positions. Some agencies are like, you know what? The likelihood of something happening in the school is pretty low, so we'll stick this person there because they're not really worth a shit anywhere else, and this would be better for them, be more their speed. And then sometimes, some people get assigned to a detective position. They do all right to do the workload, but they're not good enough to be out on the street. And like I said, that's promoting a shithead. I hate it when I hear about things like that happening. It should not be like that. It should not just move a person into another position because they can't be trusted elsewhere. If they're that bad of an issue, then you need to go through the process, right? Coaching, retraining, coaching. They don't get the fucking point. They don't change their shit. Lead it to separation, But unfortunately, many agencies don't have good leadership, good admin. They just kind of do what's easy and move on. So anyway, that kind of went off in a rant. But just in summation, just know that just because a person has 30 fucking years doesn't mean that they were actually worth a shit. Varner said he's been involved in officer-involved shootings before. Oh, so it's a woman? Kim? A guy named Kim? Alright, so whatever. Varner said he's been involved in officer-involved shootings before. Considering the man in the video was described to be mentally ill, Varner said he would have tried talking to Mahan down to put down the axe. Why not try and talk to the guy? Drop the axe. Ain't talking to him, Varner added. JSO has not identified the officer because he requested to be under Marcy's law. Police officials said the officer is back to work and no longer on administrative leave. However, the investigation is ongoing. I really don't like how this news agency talked to this fucker Kim and only got his perspective. Like, why didn't they go get someone else's perspective or anything like that? So I don't even know anything about First Coast News, but just based off this article, I can already tell that they're very liberal-leaning and probably anti-fucking police. So, fuck them. Wish I would have found a better article to read. Alright, playing the video.
Is that him? Put the hatchet down! Put the axe down! Put the axe down! Put the axe down! .1033, shots fired.
Any Sergeant 626, kill for an additional 147 on phone.
Start me rescue for Whiskey Mike. Signal 18 to the head. I'm 77 for now. No police were shot. Suspect is down.
And were the shots fired from police or suspect?
Shots were fired by police.
Alright.
I'm good.
Alright, so very, very quick. Let's back this up. So first of all, my first complaint, or not first complaint, but the first thing I'll address is a complaint. The fact that he has a pistol out when a person has a deadly physical weapon out. Now, with that being said, I also don't know how the radio call came out. Since they didn't provide the radio call, I have no idea if this officer had been told beforehand that this person was armed with a hatchet. This could be where he just now first learns about the guy being armed with a hatchet. So if that's the case, then it's a little bit more acceptable for this guy to be, or for this officer to be getting out with a pistol only. Now, if the officer, the way the call had come out, if it had been known to the officer that the guy had a hatchet, had an axe, and then this officer continued to get out of the car with a pistol only, then I have an issue with that. Anytime going into something that has a higher probability of deadly force encounter occurring, you want to bring a long gun. No questions. If there's a higher probability of a deadly force encounter occurring, you want the right tool for the job. And the right thing to bring is a rifle or a shotgun. They're more accurate and they have better incapacitating power. A pistol is only good for quick, sudden, reactionary kind of incidents where you're going into a scenario where it's obviously, everything law enforcement's unknown risk, right? But there's no indicators, nothing going on that says that this is higher risk. It's just unknown risk at this point. What some people will call is routine, right? Like what people will call a routine traffic stop. It's just an unknown risk traffic stop. Nobody gets out with rifles on those, right? Because, the majority of those calls or those incidents, those stops, end up with no force needing to be used. Now, if it's a felony traffic stop or a high-risk traffic stop, then yeah, that's where the rifles come out because there's higher risk of bad shit happening. So, same thing with these kind of incidents. If it was unknown risk to him, maybe all the information he got was there's this mentally disturbed person walking through the property talking to themselves. Okay. Does that require a rifle? No. So that would be perfectly okay for this officer to be getting out with a pistol. But if the call had come out and it's talking about the dude's armed with a hatchet, blah, 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 that's high risk. That means there's a higher risk of deadly force occurring or a deadly force encounter occurring. And so that in of itself dictates that you must get a long gun out, in my opinion. So, moving on.
Put the axe down! Put the axe down!
Alright, so he raises this hatchet. There are bars out there that cater to hatchet throwing. Go into this bar, this place, and they've got these axe throwing lanes, right? Pay to go to it and get a table, and you got a group of friends, and you're on this lane, and at the end of the lane is a big wooden target, and you get your fucking hatchets and you throw them at the target, right? And they stick in. So that's a fun sport for people to be doing, right? It's not like this is just a unique thing that only a very small percentage of the population can achieve and do. It's so popular that there's fucking businesses that cater to the throwing of hatchets for fun. So it is very plausible that this dude could have thrown this fucking hatchet at the officer and split his fucking wig. So 100%, this is deadly force right there. Yeah, this guy's a distance away. It's not like he's going to immediately be able to teleport over to the officer and then just start hitting him with the hatchet. He could throw the hatchet from where he is at right there and hit the officer in the head and kill the officer. So 100%, 110%, this officer is justified, in my opinion, in using deadly physical force. The minute this dude raised that hatchet, green light. Now, if he would have kept that hatchet down to his side, probably nothing would have happened until the other officer got there. Then they probably would have switched over to taser or something, or at least I hope they would have switched over. One of them at least. Don't want both of them doing it, just one. Hopefully one would have done that and tried to resolve it that way. But the minute he raises that thing up and has it in a grip that is consistent with how one would start out before they throw the hatchet, all he's got to do is rear that arm back and then launch it forward. It's that simple. So, I mean, this guy literally brought this shit upon himself, and this officer wasn't gonna. He wasn't listening to it. He wasn't gonna. Can't blame this officer at all. Now other people are like in this article, this stupid fucking person Kim, blah, 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 like. Obviously, this fucking Kim person has never been to one of these places where, for entertainment purposes, you get to throw axes at a target. All right. Not much else to say. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.